Right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's session with Marketing Crew. And last week, we talked about the awesome power and the differences of networking. In fact, I think what we said is that there's two routes to getting in front of people interested in buying your stuff being your product and services, just two routes. It's either through lead generation that you implement direct through whatever form, or it's from qualified introductions, referrals. And there was a big difference. Can anybody remember what the big difference was?
Morning.
Morning. Quiz is next week, Paul.
No, you've inspired me.
Yeah.
What was the big difference?
Between a qualified lead and an introduction.
What's in our approach? What's the difference between generating leads in whatever means that we do and having somebody else introduce us, i.e., a referral, a qualified introduction? What's the difference in the approach?
Well, it's a warmer approach if it's a referral, always.
No, you can get that through. You can generate warm leads through other means.
I always think of it as a referral. I must admit, as being, someone that's a mutual contact for both of us. As being a person. Right.
The major difference, and I put a video up on it and a meme is the difference is between selling and educating. In lead generation, in the end, we're selling our service and our product. But when we're coming to a network or a referral network or any network, if you start selling the group, you'll actually get nowhere. You'll cut off your supply. The quality that we need to exercise is pure education. Right now, I know Vivian pretty well. I've known her for many years. I know where her qualities lie, where her expertise and her reputation. So in that way, she's educated me to a point. I can't take any feeling that I know Vivian and where she is now and where she's going to. And I think the same is with everybody here. And this is what we want to address today is we don't know who else we know, do we?
Mm-hmm.
We've got no idea who we know. I've no idea who Ollie knows that could help me take my business interests forward. And Ollie, and probably myself, don't know where my business interests are anyway, because sometimes we're all in a state of confusion, especially at this time of the year when we assess how we've done for the year and how maybe we're going to take everything forward. And I've got one or two ideas that I've not shared. I've shared a few with Rod, and tomorrow when I meet Rob and Marcus, I'll probably share a few of those ideas. But anybody that wants to achieve more and do more and be more, you're in that state of movement, aren't we? But the people that are closest to me, the people I know, I've got no idea what those thoughts are. I've not confined to anybody. So they're not sure how they can help me. Going slightly off course there, but what I'm trying to say is that in almost all the networking that I've done, online and offline, there is a default position for a lot of people in they feel they've got to sell their product or service. Tell us what you do. And of course, then they see other people presenting and they look to sell what they're doing. And that's not what you should be doing in a networking meeting. Some people might argue, Brad Burton might argue, a lot of people might argue that, but I don't think that's what we should be doing. Your audience in the people in your network are not necessarily your audience. And I think if we get that mindset right, that ours is an education role, we'll address the business focus meetings, we'll address B&I meetings, we'll address any meetings like tomorrow, where there's 3 of us meeting up, in one of educating. I'll be looking for Rob to educate me as to how he's taking his business forward, where he wants to get to, what are the challenges he's got, and how can I help him? And the same with Marcus. And if I was to meet anybody on a face-to-face basis in a more intimate session where I'm focused only on them, there's some of the questions I would ask. They were born out of what I used to say at B&I. How can I help you do more business? Any comments on that? Is that something?
I think in the past, I don't think it's as prevalent now, but there was definitely a case that when you went along face-to-face networking meeting and somebody comes in front of you and it's bang, full on sales, and it's so off-putting. And I've seen those sort of people sometimes try and have a conversation with somebody, and then obviously it wasn't getting very far, so then they're on to the next one, and then they're on to the next one. And that's the worst thing you could do at a networking meeting. People get fed up with you with in-your-face sales.
Well, we've said previously, Vivian, that everybody loves to buy, but we don't necessarily want to be sold to, or the feeling we're being sold to. We want to be helped. We don't want to be sold to. And am I just the only one? Does anybody else recognize this in the networking events that they attend? It happens, doesn't it? And it's probably not their fault. In fairness, it's very easy to judge those people, but we shouldn't, because they don't know any different unless there's any training provided, unless somebody helps them position this, then they will just do it. And I think that's the challenge. And that's why B&I does so well if people will stick around it, because you do get you should be getting very, very good training. It also happens, and I don't think the business is ever done in the meeting itself. The meeting is done, and we talked last week about being well prepared for a meeting so that you're in a position to really listen to what everybody else has said. That's the power of the meeting, listening to other people and determining who you're going to have a one-to-one with. But then the default position can again be, let me sell you on what I'm doing, especially people that serve the masses. So, for instance, I would say Ollie and Andrew are like that, because most people in business need a website. Maybe Martin, to a point, would say most people need design, although most people clearly don't pay for design. So those that are in that mass market, if you like, or mass demand, could be very tempted because they think anybody and everybody could buy the service. And the trouble is, you might sell your service to that one person, but you may be cutting off business to other people. I've always said, I may or may not need a story from Anne-Marie. Might be something worth talking about for the new year, but it's not important that I buy from Anne-Marie. And it's not important that I buy from Nathan. Although I'd like to be his assistant and pick his brains on a number of things. But
go for it.
But that's not important. What's important is that I can learn as to what Nathan is really looking for, what he's doing so far, what he's looking to do in the new year, and what's holding him back, and how can I help him? Who can I help connect with? Yes, Marcus.
Oh, just to play devil's advocate, I don't know. I'm not. I really see the power of the one-to-one, or with very small groups. But I think when you're in a big group like BFN, for example, I'm not sure people have got the time these days to even remember you, or they're so wrapped up in their own lives. Do you think people are going around thinking, "Oh, I really must help so-and-so out and so-and-so out, or there's a referral I can pass on"? Is it fit modern society, Paul?
I don't think it's to do with modern society. I think it's a reality. I think it's a reality with B&I and any group, and this group. When the meeting finishes, you're not spending the rest of the day thinking about what's being said here. One of the challenges for anybody that's doing any amount of coaching is that the real joy and the pleasure is when somebody puts what's discussed, and it doesn't matter whether it comes from me or anybody in the group, and they put it into practice and they get a result. That's where the pleasure is. But in many cases, we take notes, and I've been as guilty as this. I've got so many notes for webinars I attend, and I know what I should put into practice, and I don't put it into practice. I'm on webinars at least twice a day, not twice a day, every 2 days rather, definitely. I was on last night. I was listening to a recording. I didn't have time to listen to it, so I pulled the recording down. I was listening to that this morning. So, and the trouble is, when you're like me, you get information from so many sources, you end up not using most of it, and that can be the challenge on meetings with Business Network or whatever. So you're right, people are not thinking, and that is why you probably will not going to be able to have one-to-ones with everybody in say the Bristol meeting or the Bath. If there's 30 members and you do one a week, that's just over half a year before you're going to get round to everybody. So I don't think you would. I think you'd single out the people who you feel are most likely to have access to your target market. If you're doing it strategically, they're the people. And the other people might be those people you resonate with from a personality point of view, or you feel you can help them, or you want a better understanding because you think you know somebody that can help them. But I think the priority is the people that have the that same marketplace. Does that answer that?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, on a slightly different point, I was just thinking, really, I think having a niche or just saying something that will connect people, will remember you, is certainly useful. When I find I'm on some groups and you ask them, okay, how can I help you? Who are you looking for? They really can't say. And they don't stick in your mind because of that.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I know that from the questions I ask, because people don't think of it. They just get up, pick up their tools, and they're out doing business. And very often they don't have time to think about that. All the things we discuss, you take the time out each week to discuss these things. But if you weren't doing that, where else would you actually think about how you're using your time, how you're using your marketing, etc.? So last week, we also said that there was a particular route to slowly but surely developing this. And the first one was really asking questions rather than selling to the group. And I think when you're on any meeting, the minute you start to say, I can help you with your telemarketing, if you have a story inside of you, then I can help you. If you're looking to do any video next year, I can help you. The minute you say you, the person thinks you're talking to them. And so they shut off and decide, is that appropriate? Do I really need a new website? Do I need some video? No, I don't. So they don't listen any further because they've just answered that response. And instead, you've always got to be pointing people's mind to the potential business that you're looking for that's out there. And therefore, you need to phrase that in a particular way. So, for instance, I could say, if anybody here would like some more one-to-one attention next year, one of the things I am seriously thinking of doing, and I'm trialing it at the moment, is actually having a one-to-one 90-day accelerator program. So if any of you here would like to really accelerate your program, so I spend more intensive time, then please let me know. Now, a number of people will say, no, I don't need that, etc. But if I said to you, you come across people in business, and one of the challenges that people have in business is that they know what to do, or maybe they don't know what to do, but when they discover what they should do, they don't always do it. So accountability is a really key thing. And just as tennis coaches, just as tennis players look for really good coaches that have been there before and have the ability to help that person improve and be more productive and get more business, they could be people that would be a good referral for me and a 90-day accelerator program. They don't have all year to do something. They want to kickstart the new year. So if you're coming across people that saying, I'm not sure about next year, they're uncertain, they could be a really good referral for me. See how the difference in that? In other words, I'm educating the sort of person that I want to talk to. Now, just along the way, you might say, well, actually, he's talking about me. So there's the subtle difference. So what I want to do is I want to do some breakup meetings and probably get time for a couple today, and then see what we can learn. And the idea is that I break off into some breakouts. And these are the questions. I did send these out to you, so you might want to take a note. These are the 4 key questions that you might want to ask. Now, obviously, in any one-to-one where you don't know the person, you would ask their backstory and you get to know about the person itself, and you're welcome to do that. But what we really want to know is, who can I introduce you to? You might actually, before that, you might say, where are you looking to take your business next year? And to help you go forward, who can I help? Who can I introduce you to? The next is that audience that you just described. What are the main challenges that they typically face in your experience? What would they say and do would reveal that challenge? Because if you can educate us as to what to listen for and what to look for, where we can see it clearly they've got a challenge, it can help us make that introduction. That's part of the education process. So name 3 challenges. Doesn't have to be 3. It can be 1. It could be an overriding one. It could be more. You really need to think about that. How then do you uniquely help them overcome that challenge? What is it about you, or what is it about your particular approach that has been so successful? Back in one piece. Right, we're all back in one piece. Is that fun?
Yeah, it was good.
Good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Right. I know at about 8 o'clock, Rod's got a Tyler arriving, so he needs to give him instructions and then he'll be back. So I'm going to start off with Rod and Marcus, if I may. And what I'd like to do is, the way I want to do this is really have, and this is a test of how good the questions are and how the other person was paying attention, is ask Rod, first of all, to tell us about Marcus. Not so much about him, what he's looking, what his direction is, what audiences you want to get in front of, what are the challenges that they face and so he faces, and how he helps them. And while he's doing that, if anybody else wants to probe further with extra questions, the whole idea is Rod is going to be explaining to us as to how we can help Marcus. And I want us all to think of how we can help Marcus as well. So probe a bit further, ask the relevant questions. And if you think there's somebody that you might help introduce Marcus to, just make a quiet note at the end. Make a note and we'll gather those later on. But don't feel you've got to be compelled to do that. If you're not inspired, or nobody comes to mind, we're going to talk about how else we might help everybody at the end of this. So Rod, over to you.
Yeah, Marcus is looking to, he's looking mainly for influencers, really. He's looking for people that are at the top of the tree. So I asked him about the people he was looking for, and we were talking about the bishop, the dean of the cathedral, maybe the mayor. And so we talked about our local chamber meeting here, and there's some issues around putting profiles on websites and stuff like that. And so we came up with an idea there. So Marcus is looking to work with people who, if you like, are big influencers, hard hitters, top of the tree, and also to increase his prices to reflect that importance in his business. And so that's essentially what Marcus is looking for right now. 2022, he's got other projects that he's working on, ongoing projects, and that's in relation to people, guys over the age of 50 or 55, I think he said, and he's writing a book and working with marketing agencies, so that's something going on in the background, but his main focus will be on the bread and butter, which is the guys that we've just spoken about.
So influence prominent people.
Yeah.
Did you have time to find out what challenges he has in that area, or what challenges prominent people have?
Yeah, I think the main challenge for Marcus is to get to those people. As for the challenges they've got, the people that are up there, of course, they're surrounded by a ring of steel, aren't they? And so even if Marcus had something wonderful to offer them, it's difficult to get through that ring of steel. They're all protected by all sorts of different people, aren't they?
So introductions are the way forward. Anybody else?
Introductions are the way forward. Yeah.
Do you want to add anything to that, Marcus?
No, that was very succinct. Yeah, thank you very much, Rob. Thank you.
Unlike me.
Anybody, any other probing questions? I mean, when you've just, yes, Andrew.
Ollie, it is.
Sorry, I'm
Ollie, I've got
sorry.
my hair.
There's a panel there completely obliterating Andrew and Ollie. So, Ollie.
Yeah, my question was just in terms of geographic area, Marcus or Rod. You know, where do you work? You know, is it local, or are you happy to travel, you know, around the world or UK to kind of find clients?
Thank you. That's a great question. As I have done before, I'm very happy to travel around the world.
As long as you got your jabs. Well, when Rod was talking about various dignitaries like the Dean and the Bishop, etc., I mean, the Bishop, we've got a new Bishop coming in to Wells, and therefore that was a very good good possibility there. The question, and at the moment, I'm sort of loosely involved in a voluntary fashion, helping Wells Independents. There's about 5 or 6 candidates for the elections. Help them get re-elected and more besides. And of course, the biggest challenge they've got is budget. Not only there's a limit to how much you're allowed to spend at an election, but budget would be the issue. So that would be a challenge, but that maybe is the wrong audience. That will rule people out. Ollie.
Sorry, just want to think. How do people generally use, say, the images which you give them? Are they used for kind of like, promotional stuff, or what's the kind of end thing?
The end usage, yeah. I mean, for sure, websites specifically are great for me because that is an image that's going to be up there for a long time, as opposed to like a social media image, which has got quite a fast turnaround. Okay. So websites are ideal because they're looking for real high quality, and they'd invest in something like that. Okay. But yeah, that you know, I mean, when we do a shoot, there's quite a lot of images taken, so they can use those for like book covers or that kind of thing. But primarily, material that's going to be around for a long time.
Okay. The other question, the other thought process is, I knew the previous bishop. I don't know who the new bishop is. So who is likely to know that bishop at a time when they are giving some thought to that? That's the, you know, who else could we introduce Marcus to that already has got access to those people? Marcus, what about Rod?
Yeah, well, look, Rod is doing very well in business. He's got a great market, he's in the right place, and he's doing a good job. But nevertheless, though, there are certain, not challenges, but aspirations where Rod would like to move into. His current market is the over 50s. So if anybody knows anybody over 50, which includes myself, those are the kind of people he's looking for. He wants to put his main modus operandi is he wants to keep his funerals affordable. So he's having a modest price rise in the new year, but to increase business, he's looking to widen his area. He's going to move into Glastonbury and Street, and to do that, he's taken on extra staff. He's outsourcing some of his work, mainly. Also outsourcing, as I say, to the removal side of the business, people collecting the bodies. He's got capacity to increase business. He did mention that he's got his fridge can take 20 bodies. So there's obviously room to Sorry.
Anne-Marie, you're not to laugh. This is reality. This is reality.
It is reality. I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
just a thought of 20 being in a row. I just had that visual image. You know?
Serious business. This is serious business.
They're in racks of 3 actually, but yeah,
Okay. So
it's even worse, isn't it?
So to summarise, he's looking to expand, taking on extra staff, outsourcing some of his more difficult parts of the business, the removals, and taking on an extra person, I think an extra funeral director from London, who's going to be doing the Glastonbury and Street area for him. He's looking to increase, but the kind of referrals that are really good for Rod are that we sort of managed to sort of dig out there are will writers, people who write wills, because they've obviously got a connection there to people who are going to be leaving their mortal coil rather quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I think you know, to summarise, over 50s, expansion on the way, moderate price rise, and will writers for referrals. So
are we still looking at people that feel a bit shaky on their legs and are a bit concerned about their own funeral? Or are we looking at this in what you just said for people who have connections that may be prepared to work with Rod, i.e. they've got the time available to be able to, and the mindset and feel comfortable about maybe picking up a body and being trained to do that, etc. Is that what we're looking for?
Well, I think the answer to that question is Barry used to be on this call, didn't he? Barry, who was a printer, and he's my #1 man at the moment. Right.
Now, I'm only leading that question, Rod, because I know that you have Bath and Wells funeral services.
Yeah.
And I know that you're not a million miles away from Bath. No. And I know that you believe there's no real competition in Bath, that the service that's provided by the main funeral director is pretty average. And I've got somebody that knows Bath very well sat to my left here, Vivian. So
I mean, there's one particular funeral director here. You know her, Rod, Carol Spalding.
Yeah, Clarkson's. Clarkson.
Yeah, that's right. And she used to be with years ago. Was it Hooper's funeral directors?
Yeah. In
James Street West. Anyway, Carol has got a very good network of people in Bath, and you know she's the one that I've been to because I met her originally through Bath Business Women's Association, you know, and she started in a very small way, but you know, a very genuine and supportive service. So, well, you know her.
But the point there, Vivian, is that she is the competition. All I'm saying is that if Rod could educate Vivian as to who the sort of person would be, and we've discussed this, that would like the opportunity to earn some additional money by being able to pick a body up, maybe over time conduct a ceremony with your training and help, it could be quite lucrative for them and help you expand into that area. So that could be a worthwhile discussion. That definitely could be worth a discussion, because you would definitely need to educate, and there's, as Barry has found, good opportunities there.
Yeah.
So, but without that education, all Vivian will think about is the lady that is already established.
Rod, we need to get.
We'll have a one-to-one.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Let me just look at my notes as to who else was on. Let's go with Anne-Marie and Ollie. Let's ladies first. So tell us about Ollie.
So why would you work with Ollie? Because he's brilliant. There you go. That's it. No, so we did have a sensible conversation. So Ollie has his goal for the future is he wants more clients, but what he wants is more long-term clients. So clients that are going to stay with him for a period of time rather than just the sort of one-off sort of jobs. So we talked a little bit about how he is thinking or has a subscription type model in mind for people who could potentially pay him a set amount each month, and he would just keep on top of their, their websites and the SEO and all the bits and pieces that go on. He doesn't want to get too big because he doesn't want to employ anybody. So he wants the business to stay manageable. He doesn't want to be in a point where he is overwhelmed and can't cope. So he wants to be quite careful about how he grows. And he also wants to look at the moment he's doing a lot of SEO, but he wants to sort of work with people that are wanting their websites updated as well, so that he can kind of keep websites current and fresh and that kind of thing. He's got 3 target audiences, if you like. So new businesses who don't have a website, or they've got they just literally have no idea where to start. SMEs where he can work with them to keep the websites updated and keep on top of the SEO. And then other companies where their website is currently not working for them. So maybe they're with a different agency and they're not happy, or it's not the right platform, etc., etc. So those are kind of the 3 areas that he wants to target. And why you would work with him is because he gives obviously the personal contact. So he works with everybody individually, which is what makes him unique. But also he's got access to, or he is able to do, like the whole kind of, I was going to say shooting match, I guess. So he will do anything from the design and the build. Obviously does the SEO. He does, he can do a bit of coding if you need to. He can do the graphic design. He tends to use WordPress and WooCommerce, but basically people can come to him and he can put together the whole package for them. And that's really what he's wanting to do going forwards, is work with more people like that he can positively impact their website on a long-term basis. I think that was it.
Good. Was that fair enough, Ollie?
Yeah, definitely. I think, it's a good representation of what I do. Yeah, and the kind of people I would like to work with.
Is there any particular business category that you feel comfortable working with that could be long-term, that needs regular updates? Yeah,
it's a really hard one, because like we sort of talked about before, everyone does need a website. I think it's, in terms of categories, when I look at my client base, it's so broad. I have everything from kind of card shops to private investigators to people who organize kind of corporate events and things like that. So there's never kind of like a single type. But I think it's probably, in terms of companies that do employ staff is probably a good one as well, because there's often more money available for them to then put towards things like their marketing. So, and the upkeep of their website is often helpful. But then I find most rewarding working with people that have a website, but they're just not getting any leads or traffic from it. And so helping that turn around and getting more work in for them through their website, through kind of SEO, marketing, that kind of thing, I find more rewarding, really.
So what did you get onto the main challenges that such businesses have? The things that stops them, and that if they could overcome that, they'd feel comfortable. Did you do that?
We did. Sorry, I forgot that bit.
That's all right.
So with the new businesses, their main challenge is they literally don't have a clue what to do. So they've just got, obviously they don't maybe understand the need for a website, don't understand why they want it. And if they have got it, they just don't know what to do with it. SMEs SMEs primarily is a time thing. So people that just don't have the time to keep their website updated, keep on top of their SEO, make sure it's working for them. And then the third group, which was the people whose website is not working for them, well, that's their challenge really, is that they're not getting any leads from it. It's sitting there, but it's not delivering. So those are the challenges that Ollie will help them to overcome.
Excellent. I like those three. Because out of that could spin sort of questions that we can ask of people, you know. How much business are you getting from your website? How's your website working for you in these times? How often do you speak with your web developer? How many leads does your website generate? You know, these are all good questions around those, you know, those questions. I know somebody that was asking these questions only over a coffee yesterday, but thank you for that, Anne-Marie. It was very thorough, that. Anybody else, any questions for Ollie? Perhaps see where those differ from the questions that Andrew was asked. So, Ollie, what about Anne-Marie?
Yeah, so Anne-Marie, her kind of plan for next year is she wants to sort of be a bit more settled with work. She's very busy at the moment, and so in an ideal world, she would like to employ someone next year, hopefully, or just someone to support her with the growth of her company. She plans to kind of grow it quite big. She wants to have a team of sort of 7 or 8 people working with her. And then in terms of the people that she'd like to kind of work with, so she tends to have 3, we kind of figured out that there's 3 separate audiences. So there are people that have had an idea for a few years that they've been kind of sitting on, and they want to write a book that's usually a fictional book, and it's triggered usually by some kind of event. We didn't actually talk about what kind of event, but it's triggered by something that's kind of happened in their lives, and they tend to be females that are over 40s. So that's the first group. And then the next one is people that have made a start on a book but have no idea what to do, what they're doing, you know, what do they do in terms of structure, how do they get it printed, how do they get it out there? And those people tend to be businesses, so people with an idea, so it might be kind of coaches, it might be fitness people, you know, it could be photographers that want to write a kind of like a guidebook, you know, how to kind of take the best photos for your Instagram or for your website. So that's the second kind of group. And then the third one, people who want to kind of, she called them the life story audiences. So people who have got a kind of a rich and interesting life story. So often might be the result of sort of addiction or some form of trauma or something, yeah, significant that again happened in their lives that they want to kind of create this book about, and they want to share their story and inspire other people. So yeah, they're the 3 kind of audiences. And generally, I think the problem they have, the challenge is that they just don't know, they've got these ideas, but they just don't know what to do with it, how to get it out into a structure, how to get it out there in the world. And that's where Anne-Marie comes in to it. And then, yeah, in terms of what makes Anne-Marie unique and why people should choose her, is the fact that there's that personal touch. It's her that you're dealing with, and even when she grows a team, she wants it still to be her. But the biggest appeal of working with Anne-Marie is the fact that she covers everything. So if you're looking to get, say you've got your idea in your head and you want to create this book, Anne-Marie will sort out, you know, who's going to do the illustrations for you. She'll sort out publishing. She's even starting to publish books herself as well now. She'll sort out, you know, proofreading and just do the whole thing so that you don't have to worry about, okay, I've got my book, Anne-Marie's helped me write it, but I now need to go and find someone to do the design of the cover for it, or someone else to print it, someone else to do this and that. Anne-Marie will just take care of you throughout that whole process.
Good. Thanks, Ollie. Is that fair enough, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Anybody, any questions there? Yes, Andrew, and then,
Quick question.
then Marcus.
So, Anne-Marie, when you publish, do you get involved in the publishing side of these books?
Yeah, so I've just started setting up beginner book independent publishers, so that I can publish So it's on a self-publishing basis, but I can then publish on behalf of the clients. So I've just started doing that for a few clients. And the way that will work is that effectively I am a publishing company, if you like. So the any royalties, etc., come to Beginner Book, and then I will then distribute them out to the client. Still in the early stages of getting that set up, but I'm not looking to take a massive percentage of that, because most publishing companies will take about 40% of your royalties. I'm not interested in that, because they've already paid me to get the book done. So really it's just another way of facilitating the process so that people don't have to worry about it, because it's a right faff uploading it and formatting it and making sure it all looks right. So I just do all of that, put it all online for them, and it's all there ready. All they've got to do is just tell me if they want any print copies, etc., and then just facilitate the payment. So at the moment I'm working on a 10% facilitation fee, but as I say, that's kind of early stages.
I've also heard that some publishing companies take the intellectual property as well. So I've heard stories like that. That could be quite a good thing for you to let people know. I didn't know that. I was chatting to a client of mine who does book publishing. She told me all this stuff. I didn't know it. That could be a great selling point for you, because people don't realise they're going to get massively stung.
Yeah, they do, exactly. No, I'm like I always say to people, I'm not interested in that. It's their book. I just want to help them get it out there. I always do a contract anyway that says that I don't have any right to their intellectual property. So that happens in any case. So I think going forwards with the publishing side of it, I just need to do a separate publishing agreement that will build all of that into it as well.
But also highlight for people, I would say, that the fact that if you do this with some of these publishers, you will get ripped off, etc., etc. Just from an educational perspective for people, because a lot of people don't know these things. They sort of walk blindly into these places, and the next thing they know, you've not got the rights to their own book to repurpose that content. So that could be quite a good sort of educational thing for you, I think, that would generate a lot.
Thank you.
Marcus.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, Anne-Marie, on the face of it, it seems to me you've got a terrific business there, really. Just looking at our BFN Bristol group, which you're part of, I know, it seems like everybody's all of a sudden wanting to write a book, aren't they? So fantastic. So I'm asking, what challenges are you facing?
Me personally, my challenges at the moment is the fact that I don't have the time to look after the clients in the way I want to look after them, which is why I desperately need to get somebody into the business. And the challenge is how to do that. That's the biggest challenge, is how to do that at the moment. There is a market out there, and I want to be able to, I'm not doing any marketing at the moment. I want to be able to put marketing in place. Ollie and I have spoken about various different ideas that we want to do with the website to market. Courses I want to do, I just don't have the time to do any of these things. So that my biggest challenge at the moment is getting to a point where everything is a little bit more stable and I've got somebody else that is working alongside me that I can then start to breathe and plan how the next stage is going to go.
And what kind of person are you looking for, Anne-Marie, so we can start?
So really somebody they've got to have their head screwed on. They've got to be somebody that's happy to work with my slightly erratic random ideas. But really, it's going to be somebody that's just keen to learn, that's happy to get involved in what Beginner Book is all about, and understand that it's not about best-selling authors. Not that that's a bad thing, and if I launch a best-selling author, brilliant, but it's about being able to tell everybody that they can do this. I want everybody that wants to be able to write a book to access the possibility, whether they've got 10 quid in their pocket or £1 million in their pocket. That's the kind of ethos. So it's really somebody that's happy to do that and come on board with that and just be keen to learn. Obviously a bit of creativity, a bit of a creative input would be brilliant. More though, I just want someone that's got a good grasp of the English language, understanding, writing, that kind of stuff, and just really willing to embrace what it's all about and throw themselves into it.
And online, Anne-Marie, or you would prefer someone to turn
Yeah,
up?
I think realistically it would have to be online, purely because, you know, geographically it's going to be quite hard, I think, to find somebody local that would fit the bill. So yeah, and I mean there's ways that can happen. You know, you can have like an open Zoom channel and that kind of stuff, so it can work. But yeah, it needs to be somebody that's got really good work ethic, because I'm not interested in carrying anybody.
It could be that somebody that studied journalism, maybe, that wants to get into journalism.
Yeah.
Ollie, you had a question.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking like an apprentice would be kind of ideal if you found the right person that was really like motivated and just really interested in it. Like, say, 'cause you don't want to be holding them through it, but obviously they want to be able to learn something from you. But if they have the passion and the drive there, it'd be a great opportunity, because they're not, you know, you can do it relatively inexpensively rather than paying a full-time member of staff, and you're training someone up that potentially would stay in your business.
Yeah, no, that's a good shout, actually. Yeah.
Vivian.
Just a quick question. I mean, Anne-Marie, to help, mitigate some of your workload, how many, with this person that you're looking for, how many hours a week do you think you would need from them?
I am thinking part-time initially, so probably sort of, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 hours maximum, something like that. I think
it's a lovely opportunity for someone. You're in it's an inspiring business, isn't it? You know, the satisfaction that you would get at the end of the whole process and actually get a book published for someone is huge. You know, I think it must be so rewarding.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lovely thing for someone to get involved in.
Okay, I just got one quick question, then I need to move on to get everybody in. Is presumably your costings allow for you to be able to afford somebody, number one, or are you overwhelmed because you are not charging enough? In other words, you did say you want everybody to be able to do this, but not everybody has got.
So no, that's a fair comment, and there's two thoughts on that. So yes, I want everybody to be able to do it. No, I'm probably not charging enough. So what I'm looking to do is create next year a basic package that will be, so a bit like Andrew does with his, you know, sort of £500 website, I guess. Create a basic package that will be accessible to everybody, so hopefully like an affordable package, which I don't know what it will look like yet, but and then the actual sort of the fully sort of bespoke packages, if you like, I will probably look to increase, not massively, but I think there is a margin to increase a little bit on pricing.
I think bringing somebody in allows you to be able to say you can have a well-trained basic, but if you want me, I'm in more demand and I charge a lot more. Right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Marcus, for those questions as well. Thank you to everybody. Let's go to Andrew and Nathan. Andrew, do you want to go off first and tell us about Nathan?
Yeah, so who can I introduce Nathan to? Well, really, Nathan tends to work with a lot of people that are changing the way that they do things in their industry. So they're sort of bleeding edge, I suppose. And I think there's a lot of that around at the moment. With the pandemic, a lot of people have had to take another look, I think, at their industries and see how they can make a difference. You know, one of the examples that Nathan's, one of his clients is a dentist who's been, he was basically doing, what do we call them these days? It's not braces, is it? It's a different thing. It's like a mold thing. He was basically doing checkups over Zoom. People were literally getting a teaspoon and hooking back there. So you see their gums and whatnot. You know, Nathan's done something with that chap, and it's really, he was saying when he looks back through his clients, it's very much people that are really sort of not reinventing the wheel, but they're taking a fresh look at stuff, and they get it. You know, they understand the power of video, they understand the power of social media and all that stuff, or the online side of things, and how it can get their message out and show that they're doing things that are different and that are more beneficial for their audience.
So we've got a dentist. Is there any other sectors that would need, in other words, need to be thinking outside the box, need to be thinking differently?
Nathan's not spoken about sectors directly, but very much more about people that are innovating within their sectors. So it's not a sector specific thing, it's more people that are taking a fresh approach.
I'm trying to picture what would that fresh approach look like? What would that different look like? Can Nathan help us?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say until you see the individual businesses, but the dentist guy is a good one. So he comes from a very kind of traditional dentistry background of doing like fillings and crowns and root canals and all of that stuff. And he's realized that those are the areas of dentistry that no one enjoys. They're not particularly profitable and they're very kind of time poor. So he set up his whole new business where he just does whitening, cleaning and straightening. That's all he does. They're the most lucrative parts. And he's kind of modeled and designed his whole business around Instagram as well. So it kind of, if you go to the place, it's very Instagrammable, and also that's his audience. So it's hard to say that every one of these clients has the same kind of look or feel to their business, but they are like sort of cherry picking certain bits of their industry that they like and then putting their own twist on them. So I'm also working with a healthcare company. They put software into pharmacies, which reduces the amount of errors that pharmacists make and saves them loads of time. And when you kind of dig into the tech that they're using, it's absolutely incredible. And like the results that they're getting are huge. They're not massively popular in the pharmacy industry sometimes because they're putting a lot of locum pharmacists out of business. But you know, it's just kind of, I think with these kind of clients, for me, I find like when you actually speak to one of them, you just kind of get it straight away. And these kind of people are often quite vocal about what they're doing as well. So
do these people come to you, or did you seek them out?
The dentist Harris, I was in a networking group with him. I've had a couple of introductions. I think the Infotech, they came through a PR contact I've got. And then a couple of the professional services organizations I'm working with, they came through networking contacts as well.
Okay, all right. But you've just mentioned two health companies. Is that something that, do you see other health professionals or like fitness instructors or people have a story to tell visually?
Yeah, maybe not so much fitness instructors, but definitely next year I want to go quite big on the whole healthcare sector, I think, because there's a lot of, you know, people are, I think, a lot more health conscious in the last couple of years. So there's a lot more, you know, competition within those industries or within those companies for clients. And you got Zoisa
couldn't be on today's call, but she could be an interesting person for you to talk to, either because of awareness in that market or even for her own self. You mentioned Instagram? Would you say somebody who's already on Instagram, maybe showing photographs, could be an ideal person to have Instagram stories or has a story to tell? Clearly, if they're on Instagram, they're pretty savvy about social media and are aware they want to reach out. So if anybody knows of, I mean, that could be a good clue, couldn't it?
Yeah, healthcare people.
What question would you ask somebody if you suddenly discover they're on Instagram?
What would I ask them? What you're trying to achieve for using Instagram, I guess. Kind of work backwards.
And is it working?
Is it working? Yeah.
Have you ever explored anything? You know, so they're the questions that could lead to that. Marcus.
Great question that Nathan could ask if somebody is on Instagram is, are you aware that Instagram is putting priority over videos in the future?
Is it now?
I heard that stories are the big push forward for Instagram at the moment.
Yeah.
which are
And
visuals. Yeah. Maybe a couple of blogs as to how you can transition from photographs to stories. That could be worthwhile looking at. I'm aware of time. Thank you for that, Andrew and Nathan. Nathan, what about Andrew?
What about Andrew? What a great guy. So Andrew is looking to meet. He wants to speak to basically SME businesses, people that are just starting out who don't know how much a website could cost. So, you know, there's a lot of misinformation out there. It could be £5 grand, £6 grand, 10 grand. It could be 100 quid, but Andrew has a set starting price point. So he's very clear with people from the start, and that makes people comfortable dealing with him. That's the contacts I've had from people I've referred to him. And he also is a very good person to speak to, you know, when your current website company or your current design agency just don't really care too much. So again, maybe for the smaller businesses, you're not paying them a massive retainer, you're not getting that level of service because you're not that lucrative for them. Like Andrew genuinely does care, and that was how I ended up kind of changing all my stuff over to him as well. I was with an agency and they didn't give a monkeys. In the next year or so, Andrew is expanding his team. He's got a guy in Hungary or Romania, I can't remember, but he's another designer, so Andrew can outsource some work to him. And Andrew kind of wants to grow ginormous websites and just sort of mini agency through collaboration. So for all the bits and pieces you might need on a website, so, you know, social media, SEO, video, photography, copywriting, etc., etc. The challenges of Andrew's audience, kind of touched on them already, but they perhaps don't understand the price point. And also a lot of places don't have prices, as in website companies, agencies won't have the price of a website on their website. So you have to phone up, and then you get the hard sell. And Andrew's quite clear about where his prices start from, and that encourages people to get in touch a bit more. And there's also some quite bad practices for websites out there as well. And Andrew's got a really, you know, strong design and build background in websites. So he's really good, as well as starting at a fair price point. Andrew uniquely helps his clients because, again, he gives them monkeys. He really does. And, you know, for the smaller businesses, you might not get that level of service at a massive agency because they perhaps wouldn't be that interested. And, you know, he likes to keep his clients engaged every step of the process as well. So he'll show you like a wireframe and like prototypes and stuff. So it's not a case of, you know, you pay and then you get a website at the end of it and it's a big surprise. You know, the big reveal is just the finesse at the end, really. It's not, here's your website, good luck, see you later. So yeah, that is Andrew.
That could be a good tagline, that. We give a monkeys.
I said it in a slightly more rude way, actually, but obviously can't keep that.
Yeah, I self-edited a little bit there, mate. Yeah.
So you actually use price to draw people in?
Well, I don't think what I've discovered, I mean, the price point is low. We all know that. I mean, basically, I pretty much did 1,200 quid's worth of work for 500 quid. I used to. That's changing slightly now. But what I've discovered is with a lot of people, it's not so much the price, it's the fact they know how much they're spending, you know, because it's a fixed price, they understand that, and then they come on board and they're always part of the process through the build. They see the build as it happens. And that's really seems to be, some people it is very much the price, you know, they've got a small budget or whatever, and they get fixated on the 500 quid thing. But actually, there are other options that I do as well. And it's more about knowing how much they're spending.
Yeah. So they've got some, at least they feel they've got some control.
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be no, I'll get a stupid bill at the end of it and a website they didn't want. You know, they see it as it gets built and they know how much it's going to cost them, because I'll do whatever it takes within that budget, because that's on me.
And do you do stage payments through that, or is it just one upfront?
No, what I do, I use, I've got two options. I used to do 50-50, and it doesn't work, because what happens is people are really enthusiastic, they pay 50%, they get cracked on with it, and then they get busy running their business, and then it starts drifting on, and it can get kicked down the road. So what I do now, there's two options. You either pay the full lot up front, which I say to people, that's a lot of trust. So, that's there if you want it, but most people don't. The other way I do it is I do 6 monthly equal payments through direct debit. And that gives people a level of comfort that they know that they're not throwing the whole lot at me on a punt, and they see it as process goes through.
That resonates with the project that you and I have been working on for a while. Right, thank you very much, Nathan and Andrew. And finally, we've got Vivian and Martin. Vivian, tell us about Martin and how we can all help Martin.
Right, okay. So first of all, I'd like to thank you for having me here today and see some familiar faces again. So Martin, yes, my word, what a wealth of experience that man has. 30 years in the business, had his business up in London, has been in Bristol for 6 years. And basically with him, I think it's his caring about his clients, and the fact that he's got so much experience in the past there that it's something that people can be rest assured he's really going to look after them with their design. I mean, it's such an important aspect, design, isn't it? I think these days people are really in a situation of checking out. When I come across a new company, first thing I do is jump on the website, find out more about them. How good is it looking? How good is the layout? It's something that you're judging them immediately. And then the printed word. Let's face it, the printed word is something that, in a way, is going through a bit of a resurrection as far as brochures and leaflets and things like that are concerned. So much is done online, but at the end of the day, your image is really important on your brochures, flyers, leaflets, that sort of thing. So yes, rest assured, he's going to really look after what you need. He's got experience in websites, in print, branding. And he's really looking for companies who are tired with their old look. They need upgrading. They want a more modern look. And as he said, it's so important, going back to websites again, that the first screen on a website looks really, really good, because people will literally jump off that in seconds and go and have a look at someone else. So yes, I like what Martin had to say, and great chat. Even though we did spend some time talking about Totnes in Devon.
Right. Who specifically can we introduce him to?
Well, it's the people that are tired of their old look. They know that you've got to be really on the ball now with your design. And they want to go to someone that they know has the expertise, experience in a lot of different business sectors in the past. So yeah, that's who he's looking for. Okay,
so I've got from that somebody that is looking into the new year, wants a completely fresh look. So that might be because they want to pivot, because they feel that their business is feeling and looking tired. So I'm getting tired from that. And they want a fresh look from digital through to print. Am I right?
Yes, I think that, that's absolutely it.
Because I say that because our other web designers, because I'm never very sure whether Martin's main business is the design element or designing websites. That's the challenge I've got. I tend to think that Martin comes from a design-led approach to whatever he does, to the marketing and to a business. So it's people that appreciate design, that realize that they need to compete in a very design-led world, and not just on a website, but joined up digital to print. I don't know how else to, am I right, Martin?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, I have a lot of, I'm somewhere, I would like to work with someone like Ollie or Andrew I can put together the design of the website. I'd like to work with them because they have a sort of more thorough technical understanding of putting websites together. So I'd say I was more user experience, user interface, and designing bespoke websites. So that's what I did in London for 15 years.
So you did the design, not necessarily the coding and the
no, we had a team of developers. So
right.
So basically, for instance, I redesign the Economist homepage and the rest of their site, and then our developers would then put that together. But it would involve eye mapping and, like somebody, seeing where people look on the page. So that was a complicated website design, or down to simple brochure sites, or print and corporate identity. So the whole look, basically.
And that is, I don't know about anybody else, that is beginning to make a lot more sense as far as I'm concerned. And The Economist does look a very impressive magazine. Well, I take The Spectator, but you can see, all of a sudden you can see where that is. So, and I know from previous conversations, you'd feel a lot more comfortable working with people like Ollie and Andrew. And may I say, and I know because they will be back in the new year because of their personal problems, Ewan and Kelly, because they're not designers.
No, I mean, exactly. That's the perfect, I'm looking to, marketing people.
Yeah.
Because they're always looking. Or I've just been, I'm working with the Education Commission. I've managed to kind of get in as their preferred designer. That they kind of give me almost like a little contract that now I can look after their PowerPoint presentations, help them with their website, put together some brochures, so that's the kind of, it'd be great to kind of get in with that sort of organization.
So Ollie and Andrew, is this a common issue with web developers? They're not necessarily designers, because there's a big difference. I mean, I've got a book on fonts, believe it or not. I'm fascinated by fonts. And that's an area that I share with Steve Jobs, because he was into fonts, etc. So I know the importance of design. Is website developers, they don't naturally have that, or do they, Andrew?
No, so you've got web designers, so like myself, that come from a creative perspective, but become quite technical, because you need the technical and the creative as a web designer. Web developer, good luck designing a user interface from a web developer. It's going to be functional, but you won't know your way around it, I can guarantee it. So when I started this business, I started with a friend of mine who's a web developer. I'm a web designer, so I'm the creative, do the design, do all the front end code and build, etc., etc. He does all the back end stuff, all the database stuff, PHP coding, blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. But there's a real grey area here, and I've designed and built websites, but also certainly, and recently I've just done one as well, whereby someone's gone to, say there's a client's gone to somebody like Martin, who then sat down and designed that site, and then I've built that site. And that works very well as well. And I was chatting to Martin at the meeting in Bristol we had, as about a tool that what could help him as well work with us, Ollie and myself and etc. Whereby it's more collaborative, as in you can design it and we can sort of jump on as a shared thing, where we can see all dimensions and all that sort of stuff as well. So you can you can design it yourself, or you can build pre-built bespoke designs as well. So yeah, definitely looking to sort of link up with Martin and do something like that.
Yeah, it's because, for instance, recently I've done this like a bakery site in WordPress. I can sort of do it, but I feel I'm uncomfortable about the maintenance. If something goes wrong, I don't have that same level of expertise as Andrew and Ollie do. So it's, that my comfort zone would be like, make the site look great and work and collaborate.
Good.
That
was excellent. And thank you very much, Andrew and Ollie, and thank you for that, Martin. No, Vivian tells me she's retired, so I'm not sure what you're going to say about Vivian, but and I'm sorry, we're out of time, but it's not fair. We will let's have what you have got from Vivian.
Okay, well, Vivian's looking to get a work-life balance, so she wants to basically develop some of her interests like photography, but she's very passionate about putting her expertise into helping a charity called the Children's Hospice Southwest. So they help, they basically have a beautiful place in the countryside that helps terminally ill children through this really sad process and helps the people around them. So it's a very kind of, the thought of losing a child like that is kind of unbelievably, emotional. So she wants to use her skills, her two skills, which she has a lot of empathy. She has life experience around her own health. And she also has 18 years of marketing experience in the Bristol and the Bath area. So she's sort of running this business club where she wants to bring on businesses to support the charity, and she so they can either sort of put money into the charity or give their expertise, and they can also, it's almost like but you can raise your profile as a business. So she really wants to bring medium, small businesses into the charity to help, and she has that expertise to do that, I think.
So is this something you're going to set up in the new year, Vivian?
Well, actually, it's slightly incorrect in that it's nothing that I've set up. The charity has their business club running for quite a while. They have it, so it's Business Club 2022. Is a way of meeting businesses at all levels, not just SMEs, medium-sized businesses, some large businesses. And I was in Bristol recently at St George's Hall, where we introduced the Business Club 2022. So by being in an organisation that it gives you access to people in a wider arena. It's not expensive, it's £300 for the year, so it's less than £1 a day. But it's the companies that you will meet at their functions on a one-to-one basis. You'll meet lots of really high-powered people there, as well as small companies. It opens doors for you. And there's various benefits. You are allowed to put your logo on the Children's Hospice Southwest website. And also you can have their logo on your own website, on your business cards and whatever. And I spoke to a company in Bristol that had got business because they were a supporter of the Children's Hospice Southwest. And the reason the client knew that logo was on the company's website. I think, wow, that's a caring company, so I'm going to go with them.
I can, so that's quite clear now. That really is clear. And actually, Rod and I have a lot of experience with Children's Hospice Southwest because the Lions in the whole of the South, in the West Country, have been great supporters. And we've been there, is it 2 or 3 times to present checks and to do a tour. It's heartbreaking. I was in tears the first time I went.
Well, I'll tell you what, that is something that was worrying me. I mean, at the moment, although I've had this wonderful tour of the premises and seeing where they're located and the volunteers that were working there, for example, in the gardens were beautiful, and thought, how am I going to be when I actually see these children? Haven't been in that situation yet. but I have seen the videos of how the team there make those children's lives as happy as they can. The atmosphere in there, the light, bright colours, the activities that they give the children, a wonderful hydrotherapy pool with warm water and lights. It's wonderful.
I think there are a lot of clearly there are a lot of businesses that are doing reasonably well, would get great benefit, would want to A, give back, and be seen to give back. And that idea that that logo on somebody's website could have certainly opened doors. I'll talk to you separately, I think, Vivian, about what that club is doing, how it meets, etc. And I'd be pleased to help you promote that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm aware that we've run slightly out of time. That's what you get when you start to delve in. I hope everybody's found that useful. Very quickly, we can go around the table and say what they've got from the session. So let's go with Andrew first.
Yeah, I think a really good, clear picture of what everyone's up to. And also just to say, I only read like a portion of Nathan's because I sort of paused and I should have just sort of cracked on through. So apologies for that.
I do apologise.
I explained.
It's not easy to cover that. Maybe we can do a bit of that next week. Martin.
Yeah, same as Andrew. It's nice to get more specific about each person, and it's also nice for you as yourself to sort of explain what you do as well. So it's really good.
Yeah, I think when you're doing these, it's important to allow time. 10 minutes each was not enough. You know, in my experience, you need probably near an hour each. But it's very valuable. You're investing your time in understanding the other person and how you might be able to help them under no pressure whatsoever. But the more you know about what they're looking for, and I've learned quite a few things today from various individuals. Ollie.
Yeah, it's been really helpful. Like I think both Martin and Andrew sort of said, like just understanding everyone and where they're coming from, who the people they really want to connect with, that I didn't really think about, and so that's been really helpful. And also, I think having it reflected back to you what you say, and then has made me really think about the people I want to kind of work with, and I need to kind of get it across what I do and how I can help people more, I think. So yeah, it's been really, really helpful.
Yeah, good. Marcus.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, another great session. Really enjoyed hearing about people's businesses and talking about their different businesses. I think it's so exciting. And also another thing I've discovered, Paul, is that your interest in water fountains.
Pardon?
Fonts.
Fonts. Oh. Oh, goodness me. It's too early in the day. Vivian. Font of all knowledge. Vivian, what you've got from today?
No, it was lovely to touch base with people I haven't seen for a while. We had a walk together in Bristol recently, which was great. Anyway, really good to talk to Rob Major. Very interesting to see how I'll look forward to that one-to-one to see how I can help him with contacts in Bath. I'll give some more thought to that one. Need to know a little bit more about what's involved. But yes, a really good meeting, and I have so enjoyed it, Paul. And look forward to talking to you about the business club.
Good. I would definitely be making a beeline for you if I was Rod, because when you know the satisfaction somebody can get and the satisfaction Rod gets in what he does and the difference he makes, and I observe this, I am sure he could build a colossal business in Bath. Rod, what have you got from today?
Clarity. I think it's interesting that we meet here every week, and sometimes we think we know what Martin does or what Andrew does or what Ollie does and Nathan and so on. And when it gets down to it, we our thoughts are completely different to the reality. And the clarity today has helped no end. And I think I can certainly, from our conversation, Marcus, which way I'll be taking that. So yeah, very interesting, very good session. Thanks, Paul.
Good. Nathan.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, hearing business in a bit more deep. I got a bit lazy with network lately because I've been busy with work. So I quite looking at lots of one-to-ones with people on this call, and it's also made me think a bit more about BNI, that I need to have a different approach to it. I've been guilty of people in the room before, which I know just pisses people off, so I really need to sort of think about that and kind of, I guess, reflect. For me in particular, I'm not the easiest person to refer, but I'm pretty sure I need to concentrate more on who people know. Sometimes it gets frustrating when you haven't had a referral for ages and get something done. So thank you. It was a good recalibration, Paul.
Good. Thank you, Nathan. Anne-Marie.
Yeah, brilliant. Really enjoyed it. As everyone said, great to just understand a little bit more about what everybody's doing, what they're looking for, a few light bulb moments, which is great. So yeah, I can't wait for sort of next year to see how everyone just continues on. Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. I've taken masses of notes. I've got how I'm going to decipher half of this. I don't know. I should have taken my shorthand seriously. I actually
graphic designer. Speak to Martin.
Sorry.
Speak to Martin. He'd do that out for you.
Well, actually, I was particularly interested in when you get that light bulb moment. It was actually listening to Martin's situation that gave me more of a light bulb moment as to how I can help Martin. So I'm proposing that next week we've got a couple of options. I personally think we should miss out on the Christmas week and the New Year week. And that means that next week would be the last meeting, would it? Don't know. No, it wouldn't. Yes, it would. So we'd have no meeting on the 21st and no meeting on the 28th, but we'll be back on the 4th of January. I don't know how anybody feels about that, because if you miss it all, if you miss this, I'm glad to talk to anybody anyway. But what I'd like to do for next week is to have a bit of a free for all, in so much as how we and I'll send this out, how we reflect on 2021. What were the highs and the lows? What have you learned from 21 to take you into 22? What do you wish you'd done more of? And what does 2022 hold for you in a changing world? What opportunities have suddenly appeared that need to be discussed and looked at? So that's quite thought-provoking. I'll write that out to everybody later today so that you've got some time to think about that. Okay, thank you very much to everybody. Thanks for your patience. I'm sorry we went over time, but hopefully we've got something from it. All the very best.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.